Welcome back to the channel, guys. Hey, today we're going to be installing this bad boy. This is the Hepco and Becker. Hopefully I'm getting that on screen right. Skid plate, bash plate, whatever you want to call them these days. And I will show you why I'm replacing the one that came with the bike from the factory in just 1 second. I don't have really good lighting out here. I don't have any, fancy studio lighting. But this little hunk of plastic is what they're calling skid shield. It's pretty much nothing. It doesn't cover even the oil filter. So you could have a bad day if you go down a trail, catch a rock on that front tire, and it comes up and pokes a hole in that oil filter. It would not be good. So I am gonna take this thing off and we're gonna install the new one. So to take the old one off, you got those two bolts right there, and you got a couple on the underside here. Not a big deal, comes right off, and they look like they're 10 millimeters, so good luck to me. And well, I was wrong, they're 8 millimeter. Dumbass. All right, we got that off. All right, next up we got these three little mounting points that are going to have to mount to the hard parts on the bike, and then the skid plate is going to mount to them. So let's get those installed. Next, we need to remove this thing. It's from the factory, where that little skid plate, if you want to call it that, attached. And there's 3 bolts. There's 1, 2, 3 Torx 40s and a 13. No, that ain't no 13. That's got to be a 12. All right, so this one is actually a 12 millimeter, not a 13. Sorry about that. All right. All right, now we're going to install this plate here, and I'm going to put just a little bit of Loctite on these 2 bolts that hold it in. It's a little blue Loctite because this mount is not going to have to be removed. This is what the skid plate attaches to. So we're not going to be removing this every time that we have to remove the skid plate. Yes, we will have to remove the skid plate to change the oil. Not too big of a deal. Gives us a chance to clean up underneath there. So these 2 are 6 millimeter hex. Yeah, 6 millimeter hex. They're going in place of where the 2 Torx 40s were. They don't really provide you a torque spec. It is the oil pan. It is aluminum, so don't overdo it. I'm not going to tighten these any more than I would even tighten a spark plug going into an aluminum head. Just enough so it ain't gonna move. All right, let's go to the next one. Again, just a touch of blue Loctite. Not a lot. So this little thing, that's a mounting point for the skid plate, and this is where it bolts into the underside. The little half moon shape is going in. Same thing, aluminum, not a high torque value on that. Hopefully you can see that. That's where that goes. We got one more on the other side. Then we'll be installing the plate. So this plate is going to go right here. Now, this one has a spacer that goes in between the plate and the pan. That last one I showed, the one little half moon looking thing, that's a 5 millimeter? 5 millimeter on the Torx. And that, I'm gonna have to use my fingers to start it because my socket's a little too long. That's what she said. This one I'm not going to completely torque because we're going to need a little bit of wiggle room to attach the skid plate. So the others, you don't have access to their mounting points once they're tightened up, or once you have the skid plate in place. So this one we can leave loose before we attach. And I'm not going to leave it real loose, just enough to give it a little bit of a wiggle room. Then once we get the skid plate in place, we'll come back, we'll torque these up. See, you just leave a little bit of wiggle room. All right, let's go get the skid plate. So here's the skid plate. They're all gonna go into these little countersunk washers, and then this center hole is gonna have that, but that's gonna be there. So this is the first one we gotta mount. The others, they're all the same, and they're gonna be there, there, two there, one back there. So what I'm gonna do here, goes through, spacer, and it's gonna go in that hole. And we're gonna have two up in this, two over in here, one over in here. I've laid the bolts out in their position where they're gonna need to go. These are all 5 millimeter hex. So, from what I've seen, this is gonna be the more difficult one to get in place. Now that we got them all started, we're gonna go and we're gonna tighten these mounting points on the bike. Remember, don't over torque them. They're going into the oil pan. And I'll probably come back after 50, 100 miles of riding or so. I'll come back and I'll check those mounting points. I'll check them all, actually. All right, there we go. Installed. I also installed the center stand. I didn't do a video on that. I installed that a couple weeks ago, but that helped immensely, being able to put this thing on. You can see it covers up the oil pan nicely, covers up the header pipe. All right, now we got to get out on some dirt. See you guys. Alright guys, there's the install on the Hepco and Becker skid plate on the Tiger 850 Sport. And yes, it fits with the factory center stand because I just put it on there. Any questions, leave them in the comments. And until next time, we'll see you.